For years, FIFA believed and understood exactly what football fans wanted. Bigger tournaments, more teams, more matches, more countries represented on the world's biggest stage. The formula seemed obvious. If football continued growing, fans would continue following. And for a long time, that assumption appeared correct. The World Cup kept breaking records. Television audiences kept expanding. Commercial revenue kept increasing. Everything suggested the sport was stronger than ever. But behind the scenes, FIFA started noticing something that numbers alone could not explain. Fans still love football, yet many were becoming increasingly reluctant to participate in the experience surrounding it. At first, the shift was subtle, easy to miss. Supporters still watched matches. They still followed their national teams. They still filled social media with predictions, debates, and celebrations. The passion remained. But something else was changing. The willingness to travel, the willingness to spend, the willingness to organize entire lives around attending football's biggest events. And eventually, FIFA was forced to confront a difficult reality. The problem was not football. The problem was everything around football. That realization may explain one of the most important challenges facing World Cup 2026. Because contrary to popular belief, fans are not turning away from the game itself. If anything, football's popularity remains extraordinary. The sport continues reaching new audiences. New generations continue embracing it. International tournaments continue dominating global attention. The demand still exists. The love still exists. What has changed is the experience. And according to FIFA's own observations throughout the build-up to World Cup 2026, that experience has become significantly more complicated. For decades, attending the World Cup felt like a dream that many supporters could realistically pursue. It required sacrifice. It required planning. But it remained attainable. Today, that calculation looks different. Flights cost more. Accommodation costs more. Food costs more. Transportation costs more. Almost every part of the journey has become more expensive. Individually, those increases may seem manageable. Collectively, they create something far more powerful, a barrier. And barriers influence behavior. That is exactly what FIFA began noticing. Supporters were becoming more selective. Instead of attending several matches, many planned to attend one. Instead of following their teams across an entire tournament, some limited themselves to shorter trips. Others abandoned travel plans altogether, not because they stopped caring, because participation was becoming harder. That distinction matters enormously. A supporter who loses interest is one challenge. A supporter who still loves football but feels priced out of the experience is a completely different challenge. The first problem can be solved through entertainment. The second requires structural change. And that is where FIFA's concerns began growing. Because football's greatest strength has never been broadcasting contracts. It has never been sponsorship deals. It has never been commercial revenue. Its greatest strength has always been connection. The connection between supporters and the game. The connection between nations and their teams. The connection between fans who may speak different languages but share the same passion. That connection is what transformed football into the world's most popular sport. And preserving that connection is becoming increasingly difficult. World Cup 2026 highlights the challenge perfectly. The tournament is unprecedented in scale. 3 host nations, 16 host cities, 48 teams, more matches than ever before, more opportunities than ever before. Everything about the event is designed to be larger, yet larger does not automatically mean easier. In fact, larger often means more complicated. Supporters hoping to follow their teams may need to travel thousands of miles between matches. Additional flights become necessary. Additional hotel stays become necessary. Additional expenses become unavoidable. For some fans, those challenges are manageable. For others, they are not. And that reality creates an uncomfortable question. Who exactly is the World Cup being built for? The official answer is everyone. But reality is rarely that simple, because every increase in cost naturally excludes someone. Every logistical challenge naturally limits participation. Every barrier reduces accessibility. And accessibility has always been central to football's identity. The The sport became global because anyone could engage with it. You didn't need wealth. You didn't need status. You didn't need privilege. Football belonged to everyone. The World Cup became the ultimate expression of that philosophy, a tournament where every supporter felt represented, a tournament where participation felt possible. But as modern football expands, maintaining that feeling becomes harder. That is what FIFA finally revealed, not through a dramatic confession, not through a leaked document, through the patterns emerging across supporter behavior. The organization recognized that the challenge facing football is no longer simply attracting fans. Football already has fans, billions of them. The challenge is ensuring those fans continue feeling included, because inclusion cannot be measured only through television ratings. A supporter watching from home is valuable. A supporter experiencing the tournament firsthand creates something entirely different: atmosphere, culture, memory, identity. Those elements cannot be replicated through a screen, and they cannot be replaced once lost. That is why the issue extends far beyond World Cup 2026. It reflects a broader trend affecting modern sport. As events become larger and more commercialized, they often become more difficult for ordinary supporters to access. Revenue grows, audiences grow, visibility grows. At the same time, participation becomes increasingly selective. That tension sits at the center of football's future, and FIFA appears more aware of it than ever before. The organization understands that supporters are the foundation of everything. Without them, football remains popular, but it loses part of its soul. Because football is more than product. It is more than entertainment. It is a shared experience, a global community, a cultural phenomenon built around human connection. And connection requires access. The challenge facing FIFA is finding a way to continue expanding the sport without weakening that connection. Continue growing the tournament without making supporters feel distant from it. Continue breaking records without forgetting who created those records in the first place. That balancing act may ultimately define the success of World Cup 2026. Not attendance figures, not revenue totals, not broadcasting numbers. Connection. Because fans are not turning away from football. They are turning away from experiences that increasingly feel out of reach. And that realization may be one of the most important discoveries FIFA has made in years. The World Cup will still be massive. The stadiums will still be filled with emotion. The players will still create unforgettable moments. The tournament will still capture the attention of the world. But FIFA's biggest lesson was never about the matches themselves. It was about the people watching them. The supporters who built football into a global phenomenon. The supporters who carry the culture of the sport from one generation to the next. And the supporters who are quietly asking a question that may shape the future of the game. Not whether football is still worth loving, but whether football's biggest events still feel accessible enough to belong to everyone. That is why fans are turning away. And that is what FIFA finally revealed.